Good evening, welcome to Prime Edition. I am Cynthia Nyamai. Now tonight we have been following up a story for you on Butere Girls and the drama. We have the details for you, and in business we will be talking about the Connected Summit, and in studio we have Stanley Kamua, who is the CEO of the ICT Authority, and in sports the junior starlets have arrived. That and much more coming up shortly, but first let's have the highlights. Echoes of drama, Butere Girls, echoes of war, spirals the annual national drama stage into chaos. Kenya receives 10,000 doses of Mpox vaccine, with the government saying the spread of the disease will soon be contained. Lawyer Katwe Kigen withdraws from the race of Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commissioners. And mourners eulogize Raila Odinga's bodyguard George Odwor as a loyal ODM servant. It's so good to be back. Our sign language interpreter is Brian Muraru. Now, the Ministry of Education has denied claims that Butere Girls High School was barred from performing their play, Echoes of War, at the National Drama and Film Festival in Nakuru County. Education Cabinet Secretary Julius Ogamba says the girls refused to perform in the absence of former Kakamega Senator Cleophas Malala, who had allegedly directed the play. As Kamche Menzo reports, the controversy at the high school has stoked debate, with the government accusing the political class of infiltrating the fit to push a political agenda. What was meant to showcase the depth of talent in Kenyan schools has spiraled into an all-out political controversy. At the center of it all is a play whose journey to the Nakuru showpiece has had more twists than a coil. The Ministry of Education says Butere Girls High School had the green light to perform their much-anticipated play, Echoes of War, following an intervention by the court. But the girls reportedly refused to hit the stage, citing sabotage and the absence of former Kakamega Senator Cleophas Malala, who had allegedly directed the play.
Basi labda tungekuwa na hali ya kuongea mapema, wala sio kuja kudhulumu watoto katika hali ambayo tumeiona tangia jana. Tumewaamsha mapema ajabu kuwaleta kwenye jukwaa eti bila hadhira. Sasa je, fasihi ama sanaa bila hadhira, hivyo ni kusema nini?
We have a body that is dealing with the issues of drama. If the adjudicators, the esteemed adjudicators, had allowed this particular team to be watched, to perform at the halls, why is it now that the government is not taking these kind of chances?
Should we prepare students to come to the festival? Then we are denied entry.
Freedom of expression, freedom of thought, freedom of conscience. These are fundamental freedoms guaranteed by our constitution.
The former lawmaker coming under sharp criticism in Parliament.
Niliangalia ule mchezo, Mheshimiwa Spika, ulikuwa umeingia siasa, ulikuwa una nia tofauti, na wale watoto wako innocent, watoto hawaelewi.
What we are seeing in Echoes of War, directed by former Senator of Kakamega, is just using our children to do political contests, Mr. Speaker.
As we are speaking to the Speaker, Honorable Malala should actually be charged. It should be, in fact, even if you write a script and it's admitted in school, the process of directing that script, Honorable Speaker, should be left to the person who's gone to school, a teacher with a TSC number, to direct the script that has been written, not a person with political intent.
In a statement, the Ministry of Education cited the rules and regulations of the Kenya National Drama and Film Festival,
which do not allow a non-teacher to direct a school drama item. Malala was barred from accessing the venue and was even arrested by the police.
This is my 82nd play that I'm scripting since I started this profession, and I want to assure Kenyans that I'll continue scripting, and we cannot stop exposing the rot of this society using arts.
Thursday morning, there was a brief boycott of the festivals, and even journalists were kept at bay by the police. The government has accused politicians of using learners to settle their political differences, citing the angling of scripts, which it says is meant to incite the young generation against the state. Kamchemenza for Prime Edition.
Interior and National Administration Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen has apologized and condemned the attack on journalists and students caught in the fracas in Nakuru County on Thursday. The CS called out politicians using innocent learners to settle political scores. In the fracas, police did fire tear gas to disperse a crowd that wanted to watch the play by Butere Girls High School during the National Drama Festivals.
The unfortunate incident at the Kenya National Drama Festival in Nakuru has elicited widespread condemnation. In a statement, the Chief Justice Martha Koome noted that on the 3rd of April 2025, the High Court in Kisii had directed the administrators of Butere Girls High School, the organizers of the National Drama Festivals, to facilitate and ensure the 50 girls perform their play titled Echoes of War at the festival. She said that respect of court orders for all state organs, state officers, and public officers is not optional. The National Police Service has also weighed in on the matter, emphasizing that any unprofessional conduct by police officers, including intimidation, obstruction, harassment, interference with journalists performing their duties, will not be tolerated. The Media Council of Kenya has equally strongly objected to the violent assault and use of tear gas on journalists, demanding an immediate probe into the matter and action taken on those found culpable. Meanwhile, Interior and National Administration CS Kipchumba Murkomen vowed to take action against security officials who might have used excessive force during the protest.
Sisi kama idara, kazi yetu ni kulinda haki za binadamu wote, ikiwa pamoja na wanafunzi wetu wakiwa na huru ya kujieleza na huru ya masomo na huru ya kusomeshwa. Kama wanafunzi. It's not our intention that we throw tear gas on our journalists. It's our intention to make sure that the journalists operate in an environment of freedom and our students operate in an environment where there is freedom.
Murkomen was speaking during a national identity card registration drive in Mokowe, Lamu County. Doreen Arange for Prime Edition.
A section of public servants in the internal security sector has been admonished for their bad conduct, which is giving the government a bad image in the public eye. Interior Principal Secretary Raymond Omolo said it was shocking to see how some government officials are displaying inappropriate behavior in public, hence the need for change to restore the dignity of government security officials in the country. Omolo said this while officially opening the annual meeting of government security officers from all over the country, which is underway at the hotel in Chumbi area in Machakos County.
I want to look up to this association and its membership to help us bring some semblance of order in how we manage our affairs. And I think we have a responsibility to start in-house with us.
Can we tell the truth? Make sure it lives up to its...
The Ministry of Health has assured Kenyans of containing the spread of Mpox virus after receiving 10,700 doses of the vaccine Ankara Bavarian Nordic Mpox vaccines from development partners. Since the declaration of the outbreak on the 31st July of 2024, a total number of 67 cases and 1 death have been confirmed so far in 13 counties.
Thursday morning at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, Principal Secretary for Public Health Mary Muthoni led a team from the Ministry of Health to receive Mpox vaccines donated by development partners.
With this allocation, Kenya joins other countries such as Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda that have already started Mpox vaccinations.
Our hope is that this is the first shipment of more to come, and CDC pledges our support to continue to stand with the Ministry of Health as they prevent, detect, and respond to all infectious disease threats.
Addressing the media, the PS said the vaccines will help reduce the rising cases of the virus.
We are receiving today has shown efficacy of up to 82% in reducing disease severity, transmission, and mortality, particularly among the vulnerable population.
Mpox is zoonotic, and an urge to all of us to adopt the One Health approach, and that calls for a close collaboration between the veterinary department, environmental health department, and the health sectors.
The vaccine, which is estimated to be 82% effective, will be administered in 2 doses 4 weeks apart among the high-risk population. Since the declaration of the outbreak, a total of 67 cases have been confirmed in 13 counties. These are Busia, Mombasa, Nakuru, Bungoma, Makueni, Nairobi, Kajiado, Taita Taveta, Kericho, Kilifi, Kiambu, Uasin Gishu, and Migori. Of the reported cases, 49 patients have recovered, 10 are currently admitted, and 7 are under home-based care, with 1 death reported. The symptoms of Mpox include a skin rash, fever, sore throat, headache, body aches, back pain, fatigue, and swollen lymph nodes. However, Kenyans have been urged to practice good hygiene and report suspected cases. Kasichana Masha, Prime Edition.
Raila Odinga's aide, George Odor, has been eulogized as a dedicated and determined servant to ODM party and its leaders and the country at large. Speaking in a memorial service at House of Grace Church in Nairobi, the leaders, including Energy Cabinet Secretary Opiyo Wandayi and ODM Senator Edwin Sifuna, among others, and the party says they have lost a loyal member. In a statement read by the Assistant Inspector General of Police, Philip Opiyo, IG Kanje said the country lost a highly skilled VIP security officer who was a National Police Reserve officer. He will be buried Saturday at his home in Siaya County.
George's life is a testament to resilience, a testament to determination, and a testament to what you can call loyalty.
On one fine morning, you are in an African capital, saying hi to diplomats, greeting presidents, a very calm place. The next day, you have to get Baba into Kamkunji grounds, where there's thousands of enthusiastic supporters whose love for Mzee is itself a security risk. But we had a gentleman in George who in all those circumstances remained professional.
These accolades are a testament to his capability, preparedness, and contribution to the security and welfare of his assigned role and our nation at large.
His life and struggles became our life and struggles, just like ours became his. He became everyone's protector in the family and a rock around Baba.
Our condolences to his family. The search for new commissioners at the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission continued today, with 6 candidates appearing before the interviewing panel in Nairobi. The panel is seeking individuals to help steer the commission ahead of the next general elections and ensure the integrity of the electoral processes.
Among those expected to face the panel was prominent lawyer Katwa Kigen, who, however, withdrew from the process, citing concerns over his suitability for the role. Margaret Barasa, who was scheduled to appear before the panel tomorrow, has also pulled out.
And so Katwa Kigen expressed his desire to withdraw from the process, and so we had to use his space with one of the candidates. And then one of the candidates for tomorrow also has withdrawn from the process, Professor Margaret Barasa or somebody. Yeah. So tomorrow we shall have 3. So we hope that we'll begin at 8 and finish by lunchtime.
Those who did appear before the panel were grilled on various key issues affecting elections in the country, including how they would manage elections that are often hotly contested and emotionally charged.
Out of my experience and serving, one of the biggest missions in the Western world, and leaving that mission with my head high, no audit queries or audit flags, and no reputational questioning as far as the mission is concerned. And I intend to translocate some of these qualities to, through the graces of this panel.
I bring my experience in management to the IEBC. I was a polling clerk in the year 2002. And the elections for 2017 and 2022.
I don't think that is the fault of the IEBC necessarily, as it is of the political class. And long before that Tuesday in August, when we go to vote, political temperatures have already been dropped way up. So that's why I agree with you that comportment, temperament, and care in communication is necessary.
Thank you.
The panel sought to know how technology could be leveraged to enhance voter registration and civic education.
Do as the IEBC commissioners is to develop programs or even training materials, and do this by radio transmission. And in particular, you can go to the vernacular radio stations and maybe increase the time of airtime.
The current generation, it's not like most of us, where we'll have the patience to go in the queue, for you wait until your fingerprint is taken and what, then. So the current generation has to, so we have to innovate a way, either by, we innovate through chair, we innovate online registration.
The interviews continue tomorrow as the panel seeks to identify individuals capable of restoring public confidence in Kenya's electoral process. Maria Ambo reporting for the Prime Edition.
We'll continue to follow up that story for you. Now, the National Assembly Environment Committee has raised concerns that the rate of forest destruction is higher than the rate of planting trees. Members of Parliament engaged the Principal Secretary of Forestry, that is Gitonga Mugambi, on the allegations that Kenya Forest Service officers were involved in illegal logging across the country.
The National Assembly Environment Committee invited Forestry Principal Secretary Gitonga Mugambi to address allegations that Kenya Forest Service officers were overseeing mass deforestation across the country.
It's so unfortunate that tunaona tu wamesimama lakini wanaokota pesa na kutia mifukoni. Every morning wako hapo na wanaingia kwa shift forest officers.
Mahali makaa inatoka pale Gogoni, barabarani iko gari ya forest iko hapo kila siku, kila wakati.
The Principal Secretary, while acknowledging ongoing illegal logging, called for a review of the laws on forestry to allow collaboration between the two levels of government in regulating private forests and areas not gazetted as forests.
When we are talking about the gazetted forest, we have full mandate. But where it is not gazetted forest, then we have to work through support, what I would say support of the county. And sometimes, Honorable Chair, it is not easy.
Mugambi also decried inadequate funding to accelerate the planting of 15 billion trees by 2030 and called on MPs to chip in support from NGCDF, a proposal the MPs are unwilling to consider.
For me to do 15 billion trees, we require 600 billion. 600 billion. If you look at, for example, how much we have gotten this year, is actually a drop in the ocean. The members of parliament, those CDF, can assist us, can support us. As we support them, we together move forward.
Could you speak about your money, not the CDF money? Because I understand the discussions around climate change, around this effort is high. Why is it that it cannot attract enough funding so that you don't look like a burden to the implementers?
Gishuki Washira, Prime Edition.
Well, the High Court has declared the President's move to establish a national task force for the police unconstitutional. That and much more coming up after the break.
Town Express! 20, town! Okay, town, 20. Bado haijajaa dereva watu wengine 7.
Kwani wazako si ungekulia kwenu? Sisi umetoka wapi? Mimi sitaki mahindi leo.
Wewe unanichia mkate.
Siagusi mkate fubi.
Wewe ongea bora usikuze mkate yangu.
Usishike hivi. Wazako kulia uko mbali na mimi. Si mimi nakulamiwa ni wewe.
Donda, gari imejaa na bado unasema watu waingie. Tuambie dereva hapo apunguze wimbo. Niongea na kama hapa.
Hakuna volume inapunguzwa hapa. Kama unataka kuendesha gari yako, enda dial *570#, option ya 3. Watu wanaendesha magari hapa nje na wewe bado unapiga nyenyenye kwa matatu.
Option 3,
unalipa ama unasuka?
Comfort yako iko kwa *570#, option 3. Master Genio moja safi, reliable, modern safety and security features. Cheza mara kadhaa ujaze entry tickets zako kwenye draw ili uimarishe uwezo wa kushinda. Mshindi tunamtangaza 27th of April na gari tutakufikishia.
Unaenda maweni? Mimi sindi na madri nishainuka na *570#.
Inuka na Genio kwa *570#, option 3.
Asante.
The world of governance is vast and can be alien to the ordinary man on the street.
Critical issues are going to be discussed.
From white papers to policy positions, it is easier to get lost in the labyrinth of words.
Inside Government takes you to key global metropolis where critical decisions are made and where policies are crafted.
We interview policymakers and senior government officials to highlight and enumerate government policies and projects. We take a deep dive into the underbelly of complex red tape to demystify policies across the country, across the world. Join me, O'Brien Kimani, on Inside Government, only on KBC Channel 1.
Welcome back. Now, dental practitioners in Nairobi County took to the streets in protest, demanding the revocation of the scope of practice published by the Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Council. They accuse KMPDC of publishing a scope that encourages the practice of dentistry without proper training, undermining the integrity of the dental profession.
Dental practitioners took to the streets of Nairobi, carrying placards and chanting slogans as they marched to the Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Council offices in Nairobi. to deliver their petition demanding the immediate revocation of the scope of practice published on February this year.
We are demanding a published scope of practice that is cognizant of the training that is happening in the country. We do not want oral health providers who are out there in an island because they're not recognized. They're practicing without recognition. But we are saying that they need to do what they have been trained to do. If you have not been trained to do something, kindly allow those ones who have been trained to do it.
The Dental Association officials highlighted that a court order had been issued directing the Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Council to revoke the scope, a directive the council has not complied with.
Body that is trusted to watch on the public interest has decided to relegate on their matters, in that now they are exposing members of the public to harm, because I cannot give anybody a license to become a doctor when they are not doctors in real sense. We have reminded them since 2021. We have reminded them again in 2022. We have reminded them again recently, and they have continued to do the same things over and over.
The dental practitioners call for the disbandment of the KMPDC, citing failure to act in the interest of the public safety and professional ethics. Meanwhile, a section of universal health coverage nurses from Meru, Murang'a, Tharaka Nithi, Embu and Kirinyaga counties held peaceful demonstrations in Meru town, demanding to the national government through the Council of Governors to employ them on permanent and pensionable terms.
Contract ended, we were added another 1 year as a recommendation from Public Service Commission so that the COG and our employer, the MOH, can come into terms and transit our terms to permanent and pensionable, which that contract expired in 2024, but that was not done. Now we were added another contract that of 2 years. Now we are serving the 6th year.
They presented their grievances to the Meru County Government Chief of Staff Julius Mbijiwe. Martini Maslin for Prime Edition.
The High Court has declared President William Ruto's move to establish a national task force to review police welfare unconstitutional. Judge Lawrence Mugambi ruled that the president had usurped the power of the National Police Service Commissioner and had in forming the task force, duplicating roles performed by the commission. Ruth Wamboi with the details on this and more in Scales of Justice.
It is a blow to the government as Justice Lawrence Mugambi ruled the Presidential Task Force on Police Welfare unconstitutional.
Any resultant recommendation deriving from the above three detailed specific terms of reference of the task force is unconstitutional, null and void.
Mugambi ruled that in creating the Justice David Maraga-led task force, the president violated the constitution, as the mandate of addressing the welfare of police officers lies with the National Police Service Commission.
A usurpation of the mandate of the National Police Service Commission, and thus in violation of Article 246(3)(c), as read with sections 10, 1, A, B, C, E.
He further ruled that any decisions or actions made by the force are invalid. Elsewhere, the High Court has dismissed a petition by the Law Society of Kenya seeking to compel the Inspector General of Police and state security agencies to produce 8 individuals allegedly abducted by police officers. Justice Bahati Mwamuye ruled that the petitioners failed to provide sufficient evidence demonstrating that the missing individuals were detained by police.
Big lesson is that those who draft petitions to court on habeas corpus should take more caution and ensure that their pleadings are substantive enough to link to the loss of those Kenyans who have disappeared.
The court further observed that 6 out of the 8 individuals had since resurfaced from locations unrelated to police custody. And a teacher from Nyamira County who has been accused of impersonating John Ruto's Facebook page will remain in police custody until Friday 11th April, when the court will decide on the prosecution request to detain him for 7 days to complete investigations.
And also to forward the right to ODPP for charge approval.
Samuel Mugosi was arrested on 9th April in Mombasa, where he had taken JSS students to Mombasa for drama festivals. Even as the drama festivals kicks off today at Thursday, a teacher from Nyamira County will remain in custody until tomorrow when the court will give its ruling, even as he had brought students to Mombasa County for a drama festival. Ruth Wamboi reporting for Prime Edition from Milimani in the county of Nairobi.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. Time now for business news, where the government is drafting regulations to compel property owners who are evading payment of rental income to honor their obligations in new efforts to boost rental income collections from the current 17 billion shillings to 100 billion shillings.
In order to mobilize compliance, the government reduced rental income tax from 10% to 7.5%. However, the move hasn't yielded the much anticipated results, with the taxman collecting 17 billion shillings annually from rental income tax against a potential of at least 100 billion shillings.
The last financial year, 2023-2024, the monthly rental income registered a collection of 14.4 billion, translating to a 5.2% year-on-year growth compared to a collection of 13.6 billion and 12.3 billion in the previous financial years, 2022-2023 and 2021-2022, respectively. Despite this growth, there's still need for a more targeted support and facilitation to bolster the overall compliance for the sector.
The electronic rental tax information system is expected to facilitate registration of landlords and rental properties in a streamlined and comprehensive manner, simplify tax filing processes for landlords, making compliance easier.
Furthermore, past initiatives such as the tax amnesties and property data collection exercises have yielded some progress, but have not fully resolved the issue. Kenya Revenue Authority must confront these challenges head-on, while advancing strategic initiatives to enhance revenue collection mechanisms and ensure that those who ought to pay taxes do it religiously without avoiding or evading.
The initial phase will focus on driving awareness, with other phases focused on technical enhancements, including data analytics, geospatial mapping, and a comprehensive education and adoption campaign.
With this system, we aim not only to increase the revenue collection, but also create a more equitable and predictable tax environment that benefits both taxpayers and the government.
Monthly rental income is applicable to landlords earning between 288,000 and 15 million shillings annually.
Expanding the tax base and ensuring an equitable distribution, we can reduce the burden on current compliance taxpayers. The introduction of IRIT therefore makes a significant milestone. It is imperative that we continue adopting systems that are supporting every eligible taxpayer to fulfill their obligations voluntarily.
Regina Manyara reporting for Prime Edition.
Elsewhere, the government says it is eyeing e-commerce and artificial intelligence to enhance trade between the European Union and Kenya. Cabinet Secretary for Information William Kabogo says this will streamline trade processes, promote transparency and accountability in trade transactions, and lower the cost of doing business.
Trade volumes between Kenya and the European Union in 2023 reached 3 billion euros, with an increase of 53% over the last 10 years. However, due to lack of streamlined standards, the trade remains in surplus favor of the EU by up to 466 million euros. Following the EU-Kenya Economic Partnership Agreement, which entered into force on July 1st, 2024, that aims to boost trade and create economic opportunities by providing Kenya with duty-free and quota-free access to the EU market, trade volumes are expected to rise significantly. The government says the use of ICT will enable businesses leverage on innovations to increase exports and imports, contributing to the ease of doing business for the general public and for international traders.
And this forum is really important, especially for trade,
as we explore the digital technologies in trade.
We have an economic partnership agreement, and we need to work together to speak with one voice on trade and investment matters that are of common concern.
SMEs were also urged to leverage on the Africa Continental Free Trade Area that exposes them to deeper European market linkages, presenting significant opportunities and reduced tariff barriers.
We're really working with different companies, different organizations to really help businesses digitize, and especially the small businesses who cannot afford to do it on themselves.
The remarks emerged as Kenya prepares to host the second edition of the EU-Kenya Business Forum 2025, slated for later in May, under the theme Digitalizing Trade. Ndutamo Kami for Prime Edition.
On to environmental matters, where policy incoherence remains a major hurdle in advancing meaningful development in climate and energy, as well as transport, health, education, as well as research sectors. This has resulted in an uncoordinated development agenda between the Global North and the Global South. Pan-African Climate Justice Alliance Executive Director Dr. Mithika Mwenda says incoherent policies can lead to unintended consequences like funding green initiatives while investing in fossil fuels. According to the Climate Finance Initiative report dubbed Landscape of Climate Finance in Africa 2024, the climate financing for Africa grew by 48% to $44 billion in 2021-2022 financial year. However, this is only a quarter of what is required to realize its 2030 goals. Experts say climate action, economic growth and social policies should be designed to strengthen each other rather than creating new vulnerabilities and gaps.
We need really to raise funds. We need public and private, but more innovative sources of finance really to address this existential threat called climate change.
The Pan-African Climate Justice Alliance Executive Director Dr. Mithika Mwenda says policy incoherence has caused negative consequences in terms of tangible positive changes, public buy-in and fostering bilateral cooperation. Addressing a meeting convened by the European Union Parliament, Mithika Mwenda is urging the EU Parliament to engage transparently with the Global South to ensure commitments are met and financing is predictable and easily accessible. Mithika further says the Global Gateway Initiative, which targets to mobilize up to €300 billion in investment through a Team Europe approach, should be structured in a manner that enhances global North-South relations. Mithika also says parliamentary debates, sessions and committee hearings should include voices from Africa and the Global South in general to ensure perspectives from affected countries are considered and shape the EU policies.
We are working together to ensure that whatever is delivered there really comes to support Africa's financing on climate change. We are looking for global goal on adaptation, GGA, and also really to enhance climate adaptation because that is what is the priority for the African continent.
The meeting has also said EU Parliament must push for trade and investment agreements that promote shared prosperity rather than exploitative relationships. O'Brien came in for Prime Edition. Listen, I know you have heard about this, that Kenya is the Silicon Savannah of Africa. We are developing one of the most sophisticated and intelligence-driven city south of Sahara, and we're talking about Konza Technopolis. And just 2 weeks ago, as a country, we launched the Artificial Intelligence Master Plan, which is supposed to guide the development and the expansion of this critical industry. And so it is proper to say that truly Kenya is the Silicon Savannah of Africa. And for the last 14 years, we've been hosting the Connected Kenya Summit, which in the last 2 years, it has now become the Connected Africa Summit to tap into the larger African community. So those are critical events happening here in Kenya. And this year's edition is happening in, guess where? Yes, in the seaside town of Diani in Kwale County. That's quite a beautiful place. Last year, I remember it was here in Nairobi at the Uhuru Gardens. And we saw how many ministers coming over here, about 20 of them. And of course, President William Ruto was the chief guest during the official opening of that event. And guess who is joining us in studio tonight? We have the CEO of ICTA, which is ICT Authority. This is Stanley Kamangoya. He's joining us tonight so that he can give us more update on the Connected Africa Summit 2025. Thank you very much indeed, Stanley, for joining us. I mean, the first question goes, when you look at Nairobi, one would say that it is the ideal place to host a meeting of that magnitude. It happened in 2024. What changed? Why are we going back to Diani?
Thank you very much, O'Brien, and a very good evening to all the viewers. First of all, I want to say that the Connected Africa Summit gives us an opportunity, first as a country and as the ICT sector, to take stock of the progress that we have made in the digital transformation of our country. And as you're aware, we have walked this journey for quite a number of years. I think from the time the first mainframe was introduced in the country in the 80s, and we have been trying to make steps towards digitizing the country in line with the global trends. But I think in this particular administration, we have made very bold steps to accelerate the digital transformation of our country. And we did outline a number of initiatives in our National Digital Master Plan, which were very well captured in the country's transformation agenda under the Better agenda, where we're driving one of the key components, the digital superhighway and the creative economy. So first of all, this particular conference gives us an opportunity as a country to take stock of the journey we have walked, and particularly the last 3 or so years. I think you've mentioned the issue of us shifting the conference from Nairobi to Diani. Back to Diani. For several reasons. One, of course, when we are holding these discussions, they are very serious discussions, but we also want to have the conversations in a relaxed environment. But we are also providing an opportunity for our guests from across the continent and beyond to come and enjoy our rich Swahili culture at our coastal towns, but also to also take time and understand the Kenyan tourism and the ecosystem around the coastal region. I think in the past, when we have held the conference here in Nairobi, of course, one of the issues that we have faced is some of the delegates having to jungle between attending office work and concentrating at the conference. We also think that it will give our international delegates, like I've said, a much more better experience from a cultural perspective, and also enjoying our beaches in the coast. Indeed, we are working together with various agencies of government, including the Tourism Board and the Ministry of Tourism, to make the experience memorable.
Very good, and I think it's also another opportunity for Kenya to showcase its world-famed beach destination, and Diani is the perfect place. We're coming back, but we need to take a short break, and thereafter we will be back with more conversation. I mean, we are looking at the Connected Africa Summit, which is happening at the end of the month of May in the seaside town of Diani. We are taking a break, and thereafter we'll be back. Stay right here.
Welcome back. You're watching the Prime Edition. This is the business news, and of course, my name is O'Brien Kimani. We've been talking to Stanley Kamangoya, the CEO of ICT Authority, and our conversation is around the Connected Africa Summit 2025. It is taking place in the seaside resort town of Diani. Let's get back to the issues. In 2022, you launched the ICT Master Plan, which was hailed as a critical document in driving the growth of ICT in this country. How is it going to feature in the conversations in Diani this time around?
Yeah, so thank you very much, O'Brien, for that question. I think just before the break, I said this conference provides us with an opportunity to take stock of the initiatives that we did identify in the National Digital Master Plan, but also the initiatives that we did identify through the thematic area of the National Digital Superhighway under the 5 key pillars of the Better Plan. And we are going to be discussing a number of broad topics in this particular conference, not only limited to Kenya, but also looking at how we can enhance our collaboration within the African continent to take advantage of technology. If you recall, last year we again made a bold move with this conference and extended it to a continental level. And out of that conference, one of the key outcomes that came out was what we called the Nairobi Declaration, where at least 14 ministers responsible for ICT came together in one of the ministerial sessions and made 7 declarations towards achieving the digital agenda for Africa, first under the African Union Digital Transformation Agenda 2020-2030, and also the overall digital transformation agenda under the SDG goals 2063. And within that, connectivity continues to be a big discussion for us that will be taking the center stage at the conference. And you may ask why. It is because even when a number of us in the cities enjoy fairly good connectivity, we still have a huge gap in connectivity in the remote areas, not only in Kenya, but in Africa. And the disparity is so huge between the African nations. We're talking about some of the countries which have connectivity up to 80%, to some countries like Burundi, which have connectivity below 20%. And then within the countries themselves, you will find that a country like Kenya, while we are approaching 50% on average, the cities are at above 60%, and some areas are below 20%. So one of the things we need to do is to address what are the new technologies that we can use to accelerate the closing of the digital divide through connectivity. The other important issue for us as a continent is the issue of connectivity to the rest of the world. And it is interesting to note that our continent has over 70 undersea cables connecting to the rest of the world. Actually, we have 77. And this year, both Google and Meta Group have announced that they are going to be constructing additional 2 cables which will be passing through our region. But we continue to face a big challenge whenever there is undersea cable cuts in any of the countries. You may recall last year we had a big problem when there was an undersea cut in South Africa, and part of the continent was actually shut down. So we also want to explore at a continental level how we can synergize and build redundancies with the existing cables and allow countries to share the already established undersea infrastructure within the countries.
When you look at the meeting that is happening in Diani, and I like the fact that you are taking us back to 2024 when the meeting was held in Nairobi, and there was the Nairobi Declaration. What are we expecting? Are we also expecting a Diani Declaration?
That is very interesting. Of course, we expect that we are going to have a number of outcomes. And one of the things that we'll be working towards is, first of all, assessing also the progress that has been made in the implementation of the Nairobi Declaration. And I think we have made significant progress, including on the area of AI, which is what you actually just touched on. First as a country, but also as a continent at the AU level, we have made some progress. So we expect that we will have an assessment of the progress made. But also, secondly, is to solidify the action plan towards achieving what had been nailed out. The other thing that we expect as a key outcome from this conference is we expect a number of partnerships and investment opportunities to be established through this summit. What we are saying is we are providing this summit as a platform for our innovators, for the ICT sector generally in the country to showcase, and we assist with looking at who are the investors across the world who can come and see these solutions, but also, other players in the rest of Africa, including government sector and also key players in private sector to come and see the solutions that are in Kenya.
Very well. I mean, you're talking about the growth and adoption of artificial intelligence here in Africa. And Kenya became the 16th country on the continent to launch an AI strategy. And so you still have almost 35 countries that are yet to develop, actually more than 35, that are yet to develop this critical document that is going to guide the socio-economic development of Africa. What are you going to be telling them during the summit? Yeah, so, AI is a very interesting field. And a number of people have asked me why we're busy drafting documents about and documents
AI,
that will go for 10 years.
Documents that will go for 10 years. But I want to clarify that the document that we have developed is a strategy covering the period 2030. And the reason why it is important to establish a strategy is because it opens for us the doors to fully explore what AI can do for us as a country. And we're looking at three main things within that strategy. Number one is the issue of data sovereignty, because that AI is data intensive, but is also hinging on a lot of personal data. So we need to establish a framework of how this should be protected. And as a country, we have already made significant progress on that. You're aware that we already have a Data Privacy and Protection Act 2019.
Yep.
And then secondly, within that strategy, we're also looking at how do we establish a proper cybersecurity framework on the issues of AI. Because again, every day we're interacting with AI, every day we are pushing our citizens to digital platforms where AI is being applied, and therefore exposing them to cyber threats. And then finally, the strategy also aims to look at ethical oversight over the design, development, and deployment, as well as usage of AI. And what we'll be telling the rest of the countries is that, look, just like we have learned from those countries that have done it before us, they can also learn and probably try and leapfrog their own strategies and policies in AI. One of the other biggest objective of this summit is actually around knowledge sharing, not only on AI, but generally on digital transformation and its relevance in driving economic growth.
Very good. And the other issue that has always dodged the issue of depending of ICT infrastructure in Africa has always been the cost of broadband.
Yes.
And we have some of the highest, actually the highest cost of broadband in the world. More, when you look at the cost of 1 GB data in Africa, it is more than 5 times the cost of the same in Europe, in North America. What conversation is likely to happen during this meeting that will help bring down the cost of data in Africa?
Yes, it's a very fundamental but also sensitive issue because as we push for digital transformation and digital solutions across the economy, the issue of access and the cost of that access becomes, central.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to step back and ask ourselves, what are the key things that contribute to the cost of internet?
And one of them is taxes.
One of them, of course, is taxes. I'm not a tax expert, so I'm not going to talk about taxes for today.
Mm-hmm.
We know the taxes that apply to digital services and also probably the equipments. And we are having separate discussions because it is important to have those discussions. If we really must spur a digital economy, we must have discussions on how then to have some form of moderation, if I may use that word,
in taxation.
Of the taxation regime.
Mm-hmm.
And also, actually, that is also one of the things that we identified last year, that, ICT taxation is complex because sometimes you can't also quantify, but also if you're talking about cross-border data sharing and digital platforms for the cross-border, it becomes even more complex.
Mm-hmm.
But the other contributor that, at least for Africa, to the cost of internet is what we call the hops. So it is how many hops in the internet your data needs to move to. And you find that because of the setup of our infrastructure in the region and how we connect to the rest of the world, local data in most cases have to move out of the country,
mm-hmm.
and then it is routed back
to Africa.
Mm-hmm. And that contributes significantly to the costs of internet because there is what we call the interconnection charges.
Very well. In the interest of time, because
Yes.
we're almost coming to the tail end of this conversation, and I like what you've talked about, there are a plethora of taxes that are in the ICT sector. You buy airtime, you're going to be taxed. You buy data, you're going to be taxed. You buy a gadget, you're going to be taxed. All these, and I'm sure there are issues that are going to be discussed during the summit. But I just want to find out who is coming to Diani this time around.
Oh, man, this is going to be exciting because last year we had at least 43 countries.
Mm-hmm.
35,
represented.
Yes, 43 countries represented, 35 of which were African countries.
Mm-hmm.
We had representation from Europe, we had representation from Middle East, US, and largely that.
Mm-hmm.
And, this year, because we have also adopted a slightly different approach, where we have called in the private sector to drive the event from delegates mobilization, speaker mobilization, and also for them to tell us what caliber of delegates they are looking for. We expect even bigger numbers. For starters, we have targeted all the African countries
mm-hmm.
Through the various umbrella bodies, including the AU, the ITU, and so on. But we're also speaking to other larger groups, including the European Union, to help us mobilize that block of countries. And those countries, we are basically looking at two things. One is tech companies, and secondly, investments group that can come and look at our innovations and the solutions that we're doing in Kenya so that we can be able to provide those opportunities. So we are looking at 50 plus countries attending
for that meeting.
This particular summit.
Before I let you go, what role do you expect the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation to play during the meeting?
As always, KBC has always been our media partner, and we look forward to working with KBC during this summit, and also in our other initiatives. As you're aware, our sole mandate at the ICT Authority is provide connectivity and enable our people digitally. And now we are saying tunaunganisha, tunawezesha, na tunabadilisha. We connect, we empower, and we transform lives.
And that is the theme for this year's Connected Summit.
Is, yes.
Very good. Anything else do we need to know?
I think for me is just to welcome all of us back to Diani. We are all very, very excited. Please join us from the 26th to 29th of May in Diani, and let's stay connected.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Stanley, for joining us this evening, and of course for sharing with us the issues around Connected Africa Summit 2025.
Most welcome.
Your time is highly appreciated.
Thank you so much.
I mean, we've been talking to Stanley Kamangoya, the CEO of ICT Authority, joining us tonight to help us understand and, of course, discuss a plethora of issues in regard to the Connected Africa Summit. We are taking a short break thereafter. We are coming back with more stories. This is the Prime Edition.
Kupitia star 570 hash tunakupa nafasi ya kuchomoka na this beautiful Mazda Demio. Enjoy a beautiful clean semi-leather interior, low mileage, fuel-efficient 1300cc engine, great for personal use and business. Ukitaka kujishindia gari hii, kucheza ni rahisi sana. Chukua simu yako, bonyeza star 570 hash, chagua option 3. And for only 35 shillings, hii gari inaweza kuwa yako. Kumbuka kucheza mara kadhaa, because the more you play, the higher chances of wewe kuwa mshindi.
Mungu ni mwema, asante Mungu. Ile nitakuwa naendesha hivi.
Dial star 570 hash and make this dream car yours.
Cheza Loto Moto.
I wouldn't wish you for my worst enemy.
Please delete that audio from your phone, from Jabali's phone, pia kutoka simu mzawe yake, please.
See it for yourself. Ulisema unajua about our past. How much of our past do you know?
Mkutano mshafanya na mkamalo.
Mama Jabali ashafika, niwe hata tunangoja ufike tuanze.
Anakupigia simu kwani simu yangu imezima?
Tutamtegea.
Huyu jamaa alizima simu na akapotea hivyo, zira aliendaje? Kwani nili
hata uwezi tafuta watu hata wakuja kufanya
Mimi na Mama Chene tunashiriki kwa kanisa moja.
Ukaamua mletee maua?
Hapana, hii ni aradake.
Well, low levels of transparency and collaboration, coupled with gaps in legal framework, is fueling illicit financial flows into Africa. Auditor General Nancy Gadongo says African governments are increasingly being flagged for using cryptocurrencies to transfer funds across borders without detection, according to Supreme Audit institutions. African countries should urgently embrace digital tools, including artificial intelligence and blockchain analytics, to enhance transparency, track cross-border financial movements, and actively combat illicit financial flows.
The weakest link has been lack of sanctions, not just within our countries for those who are culpable and who are actually involved in this menace of taking out our resources, but also lack of action in where these resources are coming in. Our take as Supreme Audit institutions is if our counterparts in the jurisdictions where these outflows are going to, which are now coming in as inflows, if they could also do the audit and ask themselves how much of their development or the economic growth is due to illicit financial inflows, but we must also build capacity as Supreme Audit institutions on how can we do further work, how can we work with artificial intelligence, how can we work with technology so that we are able to actually unravel cryptocurrencies. But we also need a regulatory and a legal framework within the country so that we also have an authority and a criteria in which to measure when we are carrying out our audits.
What is lost because of illicit financial flows is much more than all the debts of the African countries put together and all what comes into the African countries put together. So it is in our interest to arise, use this report and do something for our governments.
Africa loses about $88 billion to illicit financial flows. This just shows you the pressing issue that illicit financial flows have on African governments, hence the need for legislative and institutional support to combat this menace. Wairi Mujenga for Prime Edition.
Many thanks, Wairi Mujenga, for that report. Manufacturers are shifting their attention to the young Gen Z generation, which is beginning to build financial muscle in their product pushes. Soft drinks manufacturer Coca-Cola says that despite their online vibrancy, Gen Z seeks authenticity and real connections outside the online space. In line with this, the manufacturer has brought back the Share a Coke campaign with personalized bottles and cans to attract the young generation.
We know the Gen Zs, the new generations, like authenticity. They like to have shared experiences and meaningful connections. Many of these right now in the digital age, they're all online. Many of them are online. So with Share a Coke, we're reminding people that they need to also connect physically.
Edible oil manufacturers will be required to limit their fatty acid levels to 2 grams per 100 grams of the total fat. International Legislative Affairs Program Officer Gideon Ogutu says if the Trans Fatty Acid Technical Committee proposals are adopted, manufacturers will be forced to comply as some edible oils have more than recommended quantities, endangering the lives of consumers.
According to parliamentary reports, the Kenya Bureau of Standards flagged 32 million litres of toxic edible oil that was released into the market late last year. Samples from the consignments failed the vitamin A test and lacked insoluble impurities. The International Legislative Affairs say edible oils sold in the Kenyan market have a higher fat composition, which is way above the recommended global quantity due to lack of a fatty acid limits.
The regulation which is existing does not set the limits. It just mentions and it references codex.
Once adopted, edible oils manufacturers will have to reduce trans fatty acids content on their products to standards prescribed by the World Health Organization's recommendation.
It's recommended that less than 1% of your total energy input is from trans fatty acids. And so this translates to 2 grams, in simple terms, 2 grams per 100 grams of total fat.
Manufacturers and importers will have to clearly label the nutrition composition and health claims on their products.
The shelf life, which is not healthy, it has no any additional health benefits to people when they consume it.
According to the technical committee, the proposed regulations will help save the Kenyan economy more than 30 billion shillings annually in the next 10 years on health costs.
The first 10 years, we stand at saving around approximate 5.1 billion, and over the population lifetime, we could be saving around 30 billion Kenyan shillings.
If passed, Kenya is said to be the 4th country in Africa to set limits on fatty acid on the total fats. Benson Rioba reporting for Prime Edition.
The Cabinet Secretary for Information, Communication and Digital Economy, William Kabogo, is calling on the counties to infuse digital literacy in their development agenda. Kabogo says this can be achieved through a multi-sectoral approach.
Even South Africa comes close to us. That's a fact. You can take it to the bank. So what we do here from a policy engagement perspective is just so crucial for not just Kenya, but the whole continent.
In the ongoing implementation of Kenya's digital literacy program, over 75,000 instructors in public schools have been trained. The expectation is that this will increase the country's national digital literacy levels and enhance Kenya's digital economy from an early age, with calls now echoing for more collaborations from the ward level.
The answer lies in multi-stakeholder collaboration and initiative approaches. The national government, county governments and development partners must integrate digital literacy into their development agendas through a harmonized approach.
Limited access to digital infrastructure, low levels of digital literacy, and a lack of relevant digital content and services, however, continue to hinder the ability of communities to participate in acquiring digital skills necessary in the overall digital economy.
We must explore creative financing models through public-private partnerships. Most importantly, we must design programs that specifically address the needs of marginalized groups, including women, persons with disabilities, and senior citizens.
To overcome this, there are some quick solutions the government is also targeting, including the sustaining of Wi-Fi hotspots, acceleration of digitization of government services, and rollout of internet fiber cables across the country. Alanauko, Prime Edition.
Multinational Carpentry and Woodwork Company has announced a strategic expansion into the African market by using its newly launched operations in Kenya as a launchpad into the continent. Stanley Black & Decker General Manager for Middle East and Africa, Paramesh Ventakasarwan, targets to foster skills development through partnerships with the Paul Technical Training Center as well as other public-private partnerships to operations.
There will be very consistent investment into the Kenyan market and also wider into the East African market.
We have the global best practices, but for us to succeed in this region is only going to be at the back of localized practices. So if we want to understand the market better, that is where we are hiring local talent as well. We are getting to know the Kenyan market, Kenyan construction practices better. At the same time, we also understand that we as a global powerhouse brand, we need to give back to the society as well.
Let's now have a look at the tourism industry in Kenya, where Butere Ruins is a remarkable archaeological site that invites visitors to step back in time and explore the remnants of ancient Swahili town. Tonight on Magical Scenes, we shift gears to Kilifi County.
Dating back to the 12th century, Gede was once a thriving settlement, part of the rich Swahili culture. The ruins, which are located near the picturesque town of Watamu, are a testament to the ingenuity and craftsmanship of the Swahili people. Gede flourished as a bustling trade hub where merchants exchanged goods such as ivory, spices and textiles, facilitated by the strategic position along the Indian Ocean trade routes. As you wander through the crumbling walls of coral stone and explore the remnants of houses, mosques and a palace, the echoes of history come alive. The intricate architectural designs influenced by Arab and African styles reflect the cultural melting point that was Gede. Today, Gede is enveloped by a vibrant forest where nature has reclaimed much of the land. The ruins are not just a historical site, they are a sanctuary for wildlife. Monkeys swing from the history and nature. Monkeys swing from the branches overhead, while birds flit through the trees, creating a harmonious blend of nature and history. The serene environment invites visitors to reflect on the lives that once thrived here as they stroll through pathways lined with ancient baobab trees and lush vegetation.
Having been brought together by this UNESCO World Heritage Site that is Gedi National Monument, I have requested the museum, the National Museum, to also consider looping in the Portuguese Chapel and the Malindi Museum and the Vasco da Gama Pillar to be part of the UNESCO World Heritage. And I hope next year when they make the bids that these 4 sites will also become World Heritage sites that will bring in more tourists and more money to the local economy here in Malindi and Watamu.
Mchuma Odim, Magical Sense in Kilifi.
Come to think of it, I think if there is one county that is blessed with almost everything, talk about the Kilifi County. You have the Gende ruins, you have the Arabu Kosokoke forest, you have the golden beaches of Kaswarina, you have the Vasco da Gama Point, and you have beautiful, beautiful beaches in Malindi. Well, that's Magical Sense for you. We are taking a break, and thereafter we are back with the sports news. I'll stay right here.
Jet A1, cheza aviator bila data, bila credo. Dial *892# for instant takeoff. Prepare bila pressure kucrash au kucash out. Aviator bila data, aviator bila credo. Uko na kabambe, wewe pia ni rubani mnoma. Dial *892#. Jet A1, michezobet.com. Cheza kwa kuwajibika. Kushiriki ni miaka 18 au zaidi. BCLB license number 0000664.
And thank you for staying with us. It is time for the latest from the world of sports, and we begin with soccer, where the Kenya national team, Harambee Starlets and Junior Starlets, arrived home safely on Thursday morning from the international tour friendly matches. Harambee Starlets arrived home from Ivory Coast, while Junior Starlets were returning home from Morocco.
Kenya under-17 girls national team, the Junior Starlets, wrapped up their preparatory tour in Morocco on a high, registering an impressive 2-0 win over Morocco in the second friendly match played on Monday at the Mohammed VI Sports Complex. The win came just days after a closely contested 1-1 draw in the first encounter 4 days before at the same venue. Striker Elizabeth Ochaka scored in both matches. Michelle Waithera also found the net in the second match, netting before Ochaka sealed the win with a second goal.
We had a good experience as a team. It was a great build-up match for our team to see where we are, just to get to the match fitness and also to look at areas to improve. So it has given us confidence to play against Cameroon. It has also given us areas to work on now that we are in Kenya.
Their counterparts, Harambee Starlets, concluded their April FIFA window with 2 international friendly matches against Ivory Coast in Abidjan as part of their ongoing preparations for the 2026 Women's Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers.
I personally requested for Ivory Coast or Senegal because they're the same kind of people with Gambia. So we wanted to experience how they play. We know that they are an edge higher than Gambia, but we still needed that experience. There's a big gap, technical, tactical gap between us and Ivory Coast. No wonder they are highly ranked, and we picked a lot of lessons from it.
Their 2 matches ended in 2-0 defeats, but head coach Beldin Odemba has underlined the value of high-profile friendlies in testing the squad, building cohesion, and identifying key areas of improvement ahead of their final round of the Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers against Gambia, scheduled for October.
Well, and Junior Starlets, of course, preparing for their under-17 FIFA World Cup qualifier against Cameroon on 20th of this month, while the Starlets will be playing much later. That's in October against Gambia. Moving on, plans are complete ahead of the East Africa All-Stars Martial Arts Club Championship, slated for 18th to 19th of this month here in Nairobi. Now, a total of 500 participants are expected to take part in the championship, with Zambia and Ethiopia set to confirm their participation participation. Hosts Kenya have fielded the largest number of clubs drawn from Nairobi, Kitale, Kajiado, Nakuru, Bungoma and Siaya. The clubs will use the championship to prepare for the inaugural Africa All-Styles Martial Arts Tournament scheduled later this year. The All-Style Martial Arts is a combination of several martial arts which include Muay Thai, Tong Il Modo, Karate, Taekwondo and boxing.
We have 4 weight categories. So those are 4 weight categories in each art. So we are talking of Tong Il Modo, Karate, Judo. So each category, each art will have 4 categories.
You attend to Taekwondo, you be a good, and when you are training, our teacher says don't beat one another because it's so bad.
And the training has been well. We've been preparing for this tournament since last year on November. Yeah, and because the tournament is around the corner, we are just brushing off some techniques and making some corrections.
Art keeps you all-rounder, gives you confidence, and it helps you in your physical being.
Also, the 2025 edition of the Sports Personality of the Year Award Soya, set to take place on April 16th at the KICC, has received sponsorship boost of 1 million shillings from Safaricom. President of the National Olympic Committee of Kenya and founder of the awards, Dr. Paul Tergat, acknowledged Safaricom's long-standing partnership, saying it has played a pivotal role in transforming Soya into the prestigious platform that it is today.
Looking in terms of what we have achieved, also in terms of motivating our young and upcoming sportsmen. So this time, Soya is around the corner. In a week's time, on 16th in Nairobi, we are going to celebrate Soya Awards, the 21st edition. And then we are looking forward also to celebrate our women athletes. For the first time, our women athletes, even the last Olympic Games, they did so well. Unlike many other years. So our women, they are coming up strongly and they are asserting their weight in the right place now in terms of being the top within the country and also globally. They are doing very well.
And Cabinet Secretary for Sport Salim Vuria continued with his stadia inspection around the country, this time making a trip to Makueni to inspect the Wote Stadium that has stalled for 9 years. Now, the construction works were expected to begin in 2016, but since then, the ground has remained in the same state, with locals in the area unhappy with the state of the football field that's a barrier to the development of young, talented sportsmen and women in the county. During his visit to Makueni, where he was engaging with youths while inspecting ongoing projects, the CS faced tough questions on the numerous government initiatives that remain incomplete. More than 5 football grounds outside Nairobi have been inspected by the Cabinet Secretary as the August African Nations Championship draws near, with the country set to host the event with Tanzania and Uganda, the 3 countries that will also host the 2027 Africa Cup of Nations finals.
I have visited here for the first time. I have unlocked many of those facilities already in the last 3 months. Kirikiti, they said the same, and it is ongoing. So I think it is important to know that we have commitment to ensure that the Makueni has a stadium. We don't want to look back, and we don't want a situation where we want to say the same story. So I want to discourage you from associating me with the previous statements that have been made by other people. I have visited today, and we will unlock the challenges of that statement.
Well, and that's it from me. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Bernardo Kumu. Let's do this again.
And that is the world of sports, bringing us to the end of Prime Edition tonight. Thank you so very much indeed. On behalf of me, O'Brien Kimani, my co-host Cynthia Nyamai, and of course the producers and directors, asante sana. Have yourself a good night.
Inuka na loto moto. Sasa kwa star 570 hash option ya 4 kuna kashamba juja na nika 50 by 100 worth 1.7 million Kenyan shillings. Na hii si shamba tu, iko kwa prime location, few minutes from Juja town.